If you want more dental implant patients in 2026, there are only 3 steps, all right? Not 10, 3. And the one everybody skips is the one that actually makes the money. My name is Arman, and this is the exact strategy that took a Miami implant practice from a 10% case acceptance to 75%, all right? 47K in closed implant treatments in just 30 days without increasing or changing their ad spend by a single cent. Now, the full breakdown of that Miami campaign is a free PDF. You can find the link right below this video. Now, here's the thing, all right? Step 1 of this strategy is the exact opposite of what your current agency is probably doing. Most practice get this absolutely backwards, and there's one number that proves it. I'm gonna show it to you in just a minute. But first, let's talk about this strategy. Let me make myself out of the way. Okay, let's talk about this strategy that you've probably already tried. It goes something like this, right? You hire an agency, you run some ads, you get some leads, and then you have your front desk chase them, and then you sort of hope, right? Now, I'll say this as plainly as I can. Just doing ads doesn't really work. Not for implants, at least, okay? Let me give you an example. Here's what more leads actually means. 100 leads come in, right? Your front desk spends the entire week, calling, texting, leaving voicemails. Then out of 100, maybe 1 or 2 are qualified. And even those 1 or 2 sit in the console, hear the price, and they fall apart of finance, right? And a practice owner in Houston described exactly that to me. 100 leads, 1 or 2 real, but 0 cases. And so, as you probably know by now, leads are not really the goal. Patients are the goal. And to turn strangers on Facebook or whatever the platform into implant patients in your chair, you don't really need more ads. You need a system. And the one I'm going to walk you through now is what we call the pre-approved consult system. And it's 3 simple steps. Step number 1, filter. Step number 2, capture, and pre-sell. Let's talk about each one of those in a little bit more detail. All right, so the first one, the filter. So here's the uncomfortable truth about implant marketing. Your problem was never lead volume, okay? In most implant practices, 50 to 60% of consults die at the finance stage, and that's more than half, okay? And every one of those dead consults costs you between $500 and $1,300 in chair time, x-rays, you add up your workups and your own hours. And so think about what that means for a minute. You could literally double your leads tomorrow, and all you double is the number of people telling you no. And so I want to tell you a quick story here. This was a practice owner I spoke to last week. She was in Chicago. She basically had a patient that got approved through Care Credit for $12K. She was approved, money was paid out. Then the patient's family called the next day and they were like, sorry, he cannot really do it. And she had to refund the entire $12K. And so the patient was approved and still couldn't pay. Okay, which brings me to the number I promised you earlier, which is that your agency is optimizing for cost per lead, but the number that actually decides whether an implant case closes is debt to income ratio. Not even the credit score, because a patient can have a 670 credit score and get approved, but if their monthly bills already eat their paycheck, then that approval means nothing. And so approval does not account for affordability. So step 1 is a real filter, okay? Not like a questionnaire, because people lie, honestly, and most people don't even know their own financial picture. So not a call center asking how's your credit, because we're kind of in the same situation there. A real filter looks like this. When someone tries to book a consult, the system runs a soft credit check in the background. Right? It's going to be a soft pull. It doesn't touch their score, and the patient doesn't even notice. If they have anything under 670, well, they never become a lead and they're not allowed to book in. They will see a message saying something like, sorry, we don't have any available times right now. And so you never see them, right? And it checks debt to income ratio on top of that. So you're only seeing who can actually afford the monthly payment, not just who gets a yes on paper. All right. And a doctor in Long Island put it better than I ever could. He said, a phone call quantity game. I can see 1 patient a day, but it has to be qualified, right? So that's step 1, filter first. Everything else in this strategy is built on top of that. Cool. So you're now attracting patients who can pay. Step 2 is making sure you don't lose them to your own phone, right? So here's a stat that surprises every practice owners I talk to. 4 to 7 p.m. is when implant leads actually pick up the phone and respond. That's sort of your prime time. And what happens at your practice at 4 p.m.? Well, your front desk starts wrapping up. And by 5, probably everyone's gone. And most agencies' call center, same story. Your prime time is exactly where everybody shuts down. And so picture this, it's 5:40 on a Friday evening. Someone who's been thinking about implants for 2 years finally fills out your form, and then nobody answers. Your front desk then calls Monday at 10 a.m. It's too late, all right? Over the weekend, they booked with the office that picked up, and that lead didn't die because, your ad was bad. It died because nobody was home. And so step 2, we install an AI receptionist that answers after hours, evenings, weekends, all of it. It will answer questions, qualify the patient, book the appointment on the spot. And so that way no leads sit until the next morning. And so with step 1, we want to filter the junk. And step 2, we want to be catching the after hours inquiries so that your front desk finally only talks to real, qualified, ready patients during business hours. Cool, so that's step 2. Step 3, this is the one nobody's agency ever mentions. You filter for people who can pay at this point. You've captured them when they reached out. Now, what happens between the booking and the actual consult? For most practices, nothing really happens beyond a couple of reminders. And that's a problem because let me give you a piece of patient psychology. An ad alone is distrust. Someone who's only ever seen your ad will walk in skeptical, guarded, and price shopping you against 2 or 3 other offices. And so pre-selling fixes that. Between the booking and the consult, the patient will get real content. So that's going to be videos of you explaining the procedure, real patient stories, your face, your office, your results. So by the time they sit down, they're not thinking like, let me hear the price, let me hear the pitch. They're just thinking, this is the guy, this is the office. Right? And here's why these steps matter so much. When a patient is both qualified and pre-sold, consult to close rate hits 75-80% on cold leads. Let me say that again. Case acceptance jumps to 75% on cold leads when you have this in place. All right? Your closing skills was never the issue. This strategy in front of the chair was the issue. And when you put together all of these steps, here's what it looks like. The Miami practice, filter capture and pre-sale install. In the next 30 days, same ads, same spend, same everything. Case acceptance once again went from 10% to 75%, 47K collected on 3K in ad spend. And then a New Jersey practice within the first 7 days of launching, he got 96K in pre-approved patients with booked phone appointments costing anywhere between $80 to $100. Because just for context here, with this workflow, we have patients book a phone appointment first. So they're not booking in an in-person consultation. We have them book, we frame it as like a smile call. And then, the cost of that smile call runs at about $80 to $100 each. And then from there, that acts sort of as another filter. Those who are the right fit will then get booked an in-person consultation at the practice, okay? So there is your 2026 dental implant marketing strategy in 3 simple steps. Number 1, just to reiterate, filter out people who cannot pay before they ever reach your calendar. And your pixel, by the way, I know that's kind of nerdy, maybe you don't know what that means, but it's really important for the campaigns to keep optimizing, not to feed junk to the pixel, whether you're running the pixel in Meta or Google, whatever. Then we're gonna capture everyone, especially after hours. And then we're going to pre-sell them before they sit down. So the consult is more like a confirmation, not a negotiation. So that's the pre-approved consult system. It is exactly what we install for our practices through the high value patient protocol. And if you want the receipts, you can grab the Miami breakdown right below this video. Once again, you can grab that totally for free. Every number I mentioned is in there. And if you'd rather have this whole system built and installed for you, we guarantee 30 qualified consultations. There's no long-term contract and you own everything we built. The ads, the AI, the videos, the credit-based qualification, all of it. So link below to book a call. No pitch fest. We'll just run the math for your market and then you can decide. And if you're wondering how a patient can get, 12K approved for final workout without pain, that's the 12K refund story I mentioned earlier. You can watch that here because it has its own complete video. So give that a watch, and I'll see you in the next one.